Okay, welcome everyone as we learn the Mishna Yomis on a very strange evening over here without internet using a phone line, but what we do what we could do for learning Torah.
A little better than two tin cans.
We are sponsored by the Fisher family, Linishim Spasi Bas Rabbi Shlomo ben Avram Alevi, Perel Bas Ruvain. We are sponsored Linishmas Rav Moshe ben Rav David, L'Refu Shalem for Yom Moshe ben Chaisar, for the Schus of Rav Ram ben Yom ben Shben Malki Yudis and family. We learn L'Refu Shalem for Avigdor ben Rivka Meir ben Chaisar. We are holding in the 8th perek with Mishna Ches and Mishna Tes. Now, the Mishnah tells us a dismal situation. This is a dismal situation. Kasav Seifer get Leish. If the Seifer wrote a get for this is Chatzkel and Sprinza. So he wrote a get for Chatzkel to give Sprinza, and Sheiver Leisha, and he wrote a receipt for Sprinza to give Chatzkel when he pays her ksuva. V'ta, and the Sefer did something really tragic. V'nasan get leisha, he gave the get to Sprinza, and shover leish, and the receipt to Chatzkel. And v'nasnu zelazeh, so Chatzkel gave a receipt to divorce Sprinza, and she gave a get as a receipt. Man, and then after a time, the husband to his horror finds that he has the get, and she has a receipt, and in the meantime she remarried. Now she's never divorced because the husband didn't give her a get, he gave her a receipt. She has to leave the second husband because that was adultery, and she can't go back to the first husband. And we throw the book at her, and there's no ksuva, and there's, if he's a kohen, he can't be metamita, and everything that we learned. Rebbe Eliezer is not so fast. Imla alter yatza, if they discovered it right away, so then ein ze get, and no harm done. They switch it, and the husband gives her the get. If this claim surfaces after a while, we don't believe it. We say that there might have been a kanunya over here and a conspiracy, that she wished that she didn't leave her first husband. She finds out that her second husband is a lemon, and he misses her. So he says to her, you know what, give me the get, and I'll give you the receipt, and we'll make a claim. No, it's not believed. Harizeh get, it's considered a get. Chatzkel doesn't have the right to mess up the second husband. Now, says the Mishnah, Kosav legaris ishtoi v'nimlach, if he wrote to divorce his wife and then changed his mind, and he never gave the get. The question is that a reyach get, a scent of the get, that if he dies, she's disqualified from kahuna? So Beis Shammai, just the mere fact that he wrote for the get, psala min hakuna, disqualifies her from kahuna, because even a reyach get, even a scent of a get disqualifies her from kahuna. Or Beis Shammai, no, afal pishin esanu al tonight. Even if he actually gave her the get, but it was with a stipulation that she give him $1 million. V'loi nasa tonight, and she never gave him $1 million, so she's never divorced. If then the husband dies, like psalim in kuna, it doesn't pass her from kuna because she was never divorced. Now, says Mishna Tes, Hamagarish ishtai, if he divorces his wife, and then v'lavna imnoi bepundiki, and then after the divorce, he spends the night with her in the Holiday Inn. Witnesses saw them spending the night together. The question is, does she need another get now? Do we say that since they were married and they spent time alone, they probably had bia, and since a person doesn't have a bilas nus, he was mekadosh with the bia. So Beis Shammai remain it's tzricha men a get sheni. You don't need another get. Why? Because there's no edus on the kedushin. We can't assume that they had bia. They're only edei yichud, and we don't say hein edei yichud hein edei bia. Especially since Beis Shammai says that a divorce is only if there was a chash of adultery. So therefore, he doesn't say it's likely that they had bia, and therefore you don't need a get. Well, Beis Hillel says no. Beis Hillel says if they spent a night together, it's likely they were together. So Eidei Yichud is the same as Eidei Kedushin because they're not going to sleep without doing the L'Shem Kedushin because en Adam Boil Bilas Nus. So Beis Hillel and Tzricha men a get sheni. Another get is necessary. Now Amosai Bisman Sheniskashim and Anasuan, where they were divorced after marriage, so they were already intimate with one another. But Umaydim, even Beis Hillel agrees, B'niskarshim and Erisin, if they were divorced only after betrothal, so therefore they're not, they don't have an intimate relationship with one another. You cannot assume just because they were alone that they had bia. They even Beis Hillel agrees, Sheina Tzricha men get sheni, Mipnei Shein li by Gospa. He's not bold with her. Now, they instituted, since a kohen, if he divorces his wife, can never take her back, because a kohen can't marry a divorcee, they made the kohen's get more difficult, so that he'll have time to reconsider. And the get is called the get kosher. The get had to be written, and then after a few lines, they made a fold, they sewed it, and they needed a signature in back of the fold. And there had to be at least 3 folds with 3 signatures. So this took a lot more time. Now, if as many folds as there were, you needed signatures. And therefore, if there were 5 folds, but there was only 4 signatures, that's called the get kerech, a bald get, and the get is disqualified. So says the Mishna, get konsa beget kerach. If, let's say, she got divorced with this get kosher, and then somebody married her with a bald get, which is puzzle, and then they realized that it was bald get, so teitze mizeh, she has to leave the second husband because it was an adulterous union, and she can't go back to the first husband. And all of the restrictions apply. We want to thank you all very much for joining us. I assume that everybody heard this as well?
Yes. All
right, so Baruch Hashem, we saved the evening. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow evening.